Hotel. welcome in, everybody. Let me check to make sure I got everything set up correctly before we get started. You can do me a favor. As you come in the building, hit that like button. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that little bell so you could be notified whenever I go live, and you could be notified whenever I drop some new content, so you can keep up with what's going on. All right, let me get this presentation pulled up. You know, we like to do this thing the right way. All right, y'all see the title. We're gonna be doing it like this today, family. We're gonna be doing it like this today. Today, we're gonna be talking about the interpretation of dreams. We're gonna be talking about fortune telling. We're gonna be talking about prophecy, and we're going to be talking about the hoodoo Sibyl who could tell the future. I've been doing a lot of videos talking about the history of our ancestors on these shores and shortly after, and I've been highlighting the religious or spiritual system that our ancestors created, known as hoodoo. And I've been showing you guys some firsthand accounts of our ancestors practicing hoodoo, teaching hoodoo, and talking about exactly what hoodoo is. So in that vein, I want to go deeper into the conversation, and today I would like to talk about the interpretation of dreams. For those of you who do not know, another aspect of hoodoo, another aspect of the religion or the spiritual system that our ancestors created on these shores, on the slave plantation, is the interpretation of dreams. And our ancestors saw dreams as a way in which a individual could divine or gain knowledge and information about things that have happened, future events, things that are going to happen. And they also saw the dreams as sort of prophecies in a lot of occasions. And some of our ancestors got so good at the practice of interpreting dreams that people came from miles around to sit with the hoodoo conjure man or the hoodoo conjure woman in order to have them interpret their dreams for them. And what I'm going to do in this particular video, I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about the history of the interpretation of dreams. I'm going to give you some insight into what some dreams mean and what some dreams have meant historically. And I'm also going to show you guys a firsthand account of one of our ancestors who practiced hoodoo, who was a real live dream interpreter. And people came from miles around to see this woman. And I'm going to show you some of the dreams that she interpreted for people. So this video is going to be very informative. It's going to be very interesting. And you don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss it. So to start this off, we're going to ask ourselves a simple question. Can dreams give us insight into the future? Now, irregardless of what you believe in your own personal life about this, Hotel, I see somebody in the chat, Alpha Plus. Thank you. Yeah, we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it, family. Um, Irrespective of what you believe in your particular life, for centuries, and not even for just centuries, for millenniums, for thousands of years, humanity, different cultures in different parts of the world have believed that dreams were a source of information that could give an individual glimpses into the future, and that within your dreams, an individual could connect with their ancestors, they could connect with the spiritual realm, they could connect with God, and the dreams had meanings. Okay, now this concept, it didn't start with our ancestors and it didn't start with hoodoo, but the fact that it has gone on for so many different thousands of years, in my opinion, lends more credibility to this start. I'm personally of the opinion that dreams do hold meanings. Now, maybe not every single dream that you have, but I am of the opinion that the majority of dreams that we have, they are the universe, they are the spirit realm, they are God, they are our ancestors trying to tell us things. They're trying to warn us, they're trying to give us insight, they're trying to help us, they're trying to answer questions that we may have been having inside of our minds and inside of our spirits and inside of our consciousness for several days. And within the dream, we would get some insight into handling a particular situation. Now, I don't believe that everyone is inherently born with the ability to interpret dreams. It appears that certain individuals are born with a certain sight and with a certain understanding. Some people are born for certain tasks. Okay, some people are born with certain roles in life that are meant to help human civilization move forward. Some people are more spiritually in tune than others. However, I do believe that an individual can be taught the craft of dream interpretation. And that seems to be the general theme throughout many ancient societies. So when we look up dreams as a source of divination, some of the information that we find out, they say that there is an ancient belief that dreams predict the future. The Chester Beatty Papyrus is a record of Egyptian dream interpretations dating from the 12th dynasty, 1991 to 1789 BCE. Now, that's almost 4,000 years ago. So, what they're saying is we actually have a document, a papyrus scroll written in ancient Egypt some 4,000 years ago that is talking about the interpretations of dreams. And we're going to get into that in just a second. Hang on. But they go on to say in Homer's Iliad, the Homer is a Greek poet. He wrote the Iliad and the Odyssey. So they say in Homer's Iliad, Agamemnon, who is a king, Agamemnon is visited in a dream by a messenger of the god Zeus to prescribe his future actions. From India, a document called the Atharvaveda, dated to the 5th century BCE, contains a chapter on dream omens. A Babylonian dream guide was discovered in the ruins of the city of Nineveh among tablets from the library of the emperor Ashurbanipal, 668 to 627 BCE. The Old Testament is rife with accounts of prophetic dreams, those of the pharaohs and of Joseph and Jacob being particularly striking. Among pre-Islamic peoples, dream divination so heavily influenced daily life that the practice was formally forbidden by Muhammad, the founder of Islam. So what they're basically trying to say is what I just told you guys. We have the idea of dream interpretation going back to ancient Egypt. It goes back to ancient Greece. It goes back to ancient Rome. It goes back to ancient India. It goes back to ancient Babylon. It goes back to ancient Israel, the ancient kingdom of Judah and the ancient kingdom of Israel. Pretty much in any civilization that we look at, those people, if they have writing that we can read, they talked about dreams and dreams interpretations. And now the good thing about this is some of those cultures actually made dream interpretation books where they would actually write out the type of dreams that an individual could have, and they would also write out the interpretation of those dreams. And I'm going to show you moving forward how some of those dreams and their correlating interpretations mirror what our ancestors were saying on the slave plantation. Some of the hoodoo practice, when we look into the story of the hoodoo woman who interpreted dreams, I'm going to show you a connection between her dream interpretations and the dream interpretations of the ancient Egyptians some 4,000 years ago. Dream interpretations that she had no way of knowing about, but she interpreted dreams in the exact same manner. That's something to think about. And so they also go on to say that ancient and religious literatures express the most confidence about so-called message dreams. Basically, all cultures, like I'm saying, have believed that dreams were giving us some type of message and showing us some type of future events. Now, this is a document that's the document itself is around 3,000 years old, but it is a copy of a document that is around 4,000 years old. Now, this is actually housed in the British Museum right now. This is real, and is known as the Papyrus Chester Beatty 3, named after the individual that found it. Now, something interesting to know, when you look up the Chester Beatty Papyrus, this will not be the first option that comes up. Apparently, this individual also found other papyrus from later dates which contain books of the Bible written on Egyptian papyrus scrolls from a way later date after the advent of Christianity. And so when you Google it, the first options that are going to pop up are the copies of the Bible, because the people of today's world, they're more interested in the Bible than ancient Egyptian dream interpretation. So Google is going to give you what most people are looking for. But if you dig deep enough, you're going to find this Egyptian dream book right here. Now, this Egyptian dream book, it dates to, like I said, around 3,000 years ago. But it's a copy of a dream book that was written some 4,000 years ago. And so what we're going to do, we're going to look into the description of this Egyptian dream book, and I'm going to show you guys some of the information that's contained within it and how they saw dream interpretation. So when we're looking at how this particular papyrus is organized, okay, they basically have it sectioned off to where they'll write the dream, they tell you if the dream is good or bad, and then they give you the interpretation of the dream. And so it's ordered in such a way to where they give you different types of dreams. They tell you if those dreams are good or bad, and then they give you the interpretation of that dream. And they do this for various types of dreams. Basically the exact same format that individuals use for dream interpretations now. They'll say, oh, if you dream about eating a red apple, that's either good or bad. This is the interpretation of that. If you dream about just for example, you dream about climbing a mountain, that's either good or bad. That's what this dream could represent. Okay, so when we're talking about this Egyptian dream book from 4,000 years ago, running down the right side of each page in large characters are the words, if a man see himself in a dream. To the left of this introduction is a column containing horizontal lines of text, which each line listing a dream. To the left of each dream is the word good or bad written in red, telling the dreamer that such a vision foretells fair or foul fortune. The next column to the left gives the meaning of the dream. Then comes another page with introduction, dream, and interpretation. And so if we zoom in on it, I know you can't read the hieratic Egyptian text, but you can see how some of it is written in black and some of it is written in red. Okay, the part that's written in red is letting you know if the dream is good or bad. Okay, so they have, and it is read from right to left. Okay, so you have the dream, what you dream, whether it's good or bad, and then it interprets the dream for you. So a few examples listed in the papyrus. They say, if a man sees himself eating donkey flesh, for instance, that's good. He's going to get a promotion. So if they're in this Egyptian dream book, they're saying one of the dreams that an individual can have is that they dream of themselves eating donkey flesh. Now, if an individual dreams of himself eating donkey flesh, that's good. That means he is going to get a promotion. promotion within his work. Now, the Egyptian civilization was a very highly advanced civilization, and they did have different jobs and they did have different crafts, and one could be promoted within the craft just like individuals are promoted today. Okay, it wasn't just like a purely agricultural society. They had multiple different craft. They had blacksmiths, they had people that made the clothes, they had people that went out and tilled the fields, they had people that did hunting, they had people that were the priests, they had people that were the scribes that did the writing. They have several different jobs. They had people that made the beer, they had butchers, people that cut up the meat, they had fishermen, people that went out and fished. They had like a very industrial society. And so one of the dreams that they highlight in this papyrus is if a man sees himself eating donkey flesh, then that's a good dream, and that means he's going to be a promotion. It goes on to say in this Egyptian dream book, if he's lucky enough to dream that he's dead, a long life awaits him. So if you were to dream and you dreamed that you were dead and you didn't know what it meant, and then you went to the Egyptian dream interpreter, they would tell you that, okay, if you dreamed of yourself being dead, that means that you will live a long life. It goes on to say that should he find himself asleep and carving up a nice fat female hippopotamus, he will receive a tasty meal from the royal palace. So if an individual had a dream and they were carving up a fat female hippopotamus, that meant that they were going to receive a tasty meal from the royal palace. Now, there are a lot more dreams inside of this Egyptian dream papyrus. They tell you what a lot more dreams actually mean, and they give you the interpretation of those dreams. But, we can only go through a few of them. Now, look what they also say. For our ancient dreamers, however, the news could also be dire. It was not always good news. If a man dreams of drinking warm beer, he's going to suffer. If he sees his face in a mirror, then God forbid he will acquire another wife. If in a dream a man pricks his finger with a thorn, he'll get caught telling lies. A dream about smelting copper condemns the sleeper to years of exile and wandering. If a man dreams that he's drinking blood, he's sure to get into a fight. So these are some examples of the dreams and their interpretations from a 4,000-year-old Egyptian dream book. It's similar to like in today's world. I don't know if you've heard it, but I'm from the South. I'm from Texas. And I always hear if a woman dreams about fish, that means somebody's pregnant, right? I hear that. I've heard that all my life, and I've heard that from so many different sources. We have particular types of dreams that individuals say, oh, if you dream that, then this means this. Okay, that has been going on for thousands of years. Now, with that in mind, I want you guys to understand that even within Hoodoo, the spiritual system that was created on the slave plantation by our ancestors, they also believed in the interpretation of dreams. And it wasn't all about negative conjure, bad conjure, etc., etc. Some of our Hoodoo practitioners, they would interpret the dreams that individuals would have. And some of our ancestors, they gained such fame from being able to accurately interpret dreams that people would come from miles around. Even non-Negro people, sometimes white people, would come from miles around to sit at the feet of our ancestors and have them interpret their dreams. Okay, and we're going to highlight one such ancestor in this video right here. So this particular newspaper article is going to be telling us about the dream Sibyl, and it's a Hoodoo conjure woman who she dreams herself, and she interprets the dreams of others. Okay, so not only can you come to her and tell her what you dreamed, and she'll give you an interpretation of it, she also dreams herself that gives her insight into the future. So if we look at the title of the article, it says, With a Dream Sibyl, the peculiar translations of visions of the night. Several ladies pay the old fortune teller a visit. She dared not take money for exercising her gift, but she had a varsal remedy for sale. And so they describe their interaction with what they're calling the dream Sibyl. And these are white women who have come to the conjure woman to have her interpret their dreams. So it starts off when it's quoting one of the women. They have come to her house and they say, "Does Miss Blank live here?" Now they left her name blank because a lot of the legit conjure women and conjure men, they didn't want everybody to know their names and they did not want everybody to know where they live. It was almost like a system where you would have to be referred to them by somebody that they already did work for. So a lot of these hoodoo practitioners, they were underground. It wasn't a religion that was practiced in the open like Christianity. It was a religion or a spiritual system that was practiced in like the underground because they were persecuted a lot and they were attacked a lot, and they were seen as evil and wicked, as you can imagine, from a society where the most people are Christians. An individual who is saying that they can interpret dreams and that they can perform conjuring and they are a hoodoo worker, they are viewed as working for the devil. Okay, so a lot of these individuals were underground. This is why they left off the name of this particular hoodoo woman. So they say, they went to her house and they say, "Does Miss Blank live here?" Miss Blank is an old colored woman living in the vicinity of the Central Market who dreams dreams and interprets other people's dreams and is held in great veneration by all of her own race for her wonderful power as a hoodoo conjurer. She has dreams as long and wonderful as the book of Revelations, which she explains to visitors in a sort of trance state. So, real quick, before we get off too deep into it, I want to paint the scene for you guys. You see how they say that this lady, she lives in the vicinity of the Central Market. The Central Market that they're talking about is the Central Market in downtown Detroit. Now, this is in around 1889 that this story took place. So the Hoodoo Dream Sibyl, she lived near to the location in Detroit, Michigan that's on your screen. Now, the Detroit Central Market has a fascinating past. Originally constructed in 1860 in downtown Detroit, it served as a vegetable shed where farmers, market gardeners, florists, and nurserymen sold their produce from rented stalls. This bustling market environment flourished for over 30 years in its original location. Sandra asks you, I see you in the chat. Good morning, good morning. Thanks for having you. Thanks for having you. Thanks for tapping in, sis. Much love, much love. Now look, in 1889, when our story of the Dream Sibyl is taking place, the market was a bustling center of commerce offering fresh produce, meats, and other goods. The imposing Central Market building stood prominently in the heart of Detroit's public square near Campus Martius. The market sheds, open-sided and filled with activity, were essential to the city's daily life and economy. So back in the late 1800s, in 1889, when our story took place, the Dream Sibyl lived close to this area right here that's on your screen. In fact, for all intents and purposes, her the building that she lives in may actually be in this picture. We have no way of knowing, or it may be slightly to the left, it may be slightly to the right, but we know that she lived in this particular area. Now, this particular area was something like that. They called it the Central Market because this is where all of the businesses were located in Detroit at that time, or a vast majority of them. People who had businesses, they had things to sell, they set up shop in this area of Detroit. And so you had people coming from all around Detroit, and sometimes people from coming from other cities to do business, to sell things, to purchase things, that, to interact and engage in commerce and trade. Now, right under the surface of this scene, there was one of our ancestors who was known as the a dream Sibyl, and people who were coming to this area, some of them were coming to interact and to do business and commerce, but they were also coming to this area so they could see the dream Sibyl and so that they could have their dreams interpreted. Okay, so this is the area, this is the setting for our story. Now, again, before we get too deep into it, why are they calling her a dream Sibyl? What is a Sibyl? What is a dream Sibyl? What does that mean? Now, I know the majority of the people who watch my videos, you're intelligent, you're already up on game. But for those of you that don't know, a Sibyl is a prophetess in Greek legend and literature. Tradition represented her as a woman of prodigious old age, uttering predictions in ecstatic frenzy, but she was always a figure of the mythical past, and her prophecies in Greek hexameters were handed down in writing. So the European writers of that article are calling her a dream Sibyl because they want to connect your mind to the prophetesses from the ancient Greek and Roman empires. Remember, I told you the interpretation of dreams and prophecies and fortune telling goes back thousands of years to multiple societies. Now, when you look into the Greek societies, the ancient Greek societies, the individuals that can do this, the women who could do this, they were known as Sibyls. So in the article, they're calling the hoodoo conjure woman who dreams dreams and interprets dreams a Sibyl because they are likening her to the ancient Sibyls from the ancient Greek world, right? And from Greek traditions. Now, something interesting to note, I want to show you guys something because people have for too long tried to make it seem like our ancestors' practice of hoodoo is evil and wicked and should be shunned. And they don't want you to even learn about it. They don't want you to know about it. They don't want you to learn about it. They want you to forget that your ancestors ever created some type of spiritual system. Now, you don't have to follow hoodoo. You don't have to believe in hoodoo, but you should know about it. You should never destroy and bury your own culture because nobody else does that. I can almost guarantee that those ladies who were going to see our ancestor for her to interpret her dreams, and the people that were calling her a Sibyl, a dream Sibyl, they were 9 times out of 10 they were Christian. But even in their Christianity, they were still they're still talking about Sibyls. They're still going to somebody for dream interpretations, and they're still going to highlight the ancient cultures from these civilizations that they revere and respect. Now, the picture that I have on your right, that is a Sibyl from the area known as Delphi in ancient Greek. Now, this was painted by Michelangelo. Everybody should be familiar with the artist named Michelangelo. He's the guy that did the Sistine Chapel. He's one of the most famous painters and sculptors in world history. He's right up there with Leonardo da Vinci. Okay, this is that Michelangelo, the Michelangelo that made the statue of David. Okay, so this Michelangelo painted this picture of a Sibyl. Now, where is this painting of a Sibyl at? Ask yourself that while I get a drink of my coffee. Did he paint this on some ancient Greek temple? No. This painting is in the Sistine Chapel in Vatican City. Vatican City is the home of the Pope. The Pope is the head of the Catholic Church. Now, the Catholic Church would have us believe that anything outside of Christianity is demonic, is evil, and is based on the devil. Okay? But inside of the Sistine Chapel, you have a painting of an ancient Greek Sibyl, a fortune teller, someone who should be considered as a devil worshiper to the Catholic Church. But they honor their ancestors. Now, not only is this in the Sistine Chapel, not only is this in Vatican City, where is the Sistine Chapel? The Sistine Chapel is what Michelangelo painted, but the Sistine Chapel is in a building that's known as the Apostolic Palace. The Apostolic Palace is like the princely, kingly mansion that the priest lives in. That the Pope, the Pope lives in. So the head of the Catholic Church, the Pope, lives in a palace known as the Apostolic Palace, and inside of his home, he has paintings of Sibyls. And these Sibyls are painted side by side with the Catholic saints. So never listen to a Catholic when they tell you that your ancestors are evil and demonic and demon worshipers, and we should just totally forget about any contribution that they made to society that wasn't Christianity. Don't listen to them, because they don't do it. Okay, they don't do it. They honor what their ancestors created. And Vatican City, as we all know, is in Rome. And Rome picked up these Sibyls from the ancient Greeks. So these Sibyls are important to Greeks, and these Sibyls are important to Romans is in Italy. The Roman Catholic Church, you understand what I'm saying? It's all tied in. So they honoring what their ancestors came up with. But this is why they're calling her a dream Sibyl, because they are alluding to the fortune tellers of the ancient past from their perspective. Now, to give you guys a little more insight into the Sibyls and some of their history and why our ancestor would be likened to them. Look, check this out. In the Roman antiquities, Dionysius of Halicarnassus, this is an ancient Roman who wrote the history of Rome. He recounts the story of an old woman who came to visit Lucius Tarquinius Superbus, or Tarquin the Proud, the last king of Rome. So remember, these Sibyls are old women. The hoodoo conjurer that they called a dream Sibyl was an old woman. Now, in this story from ancient Roman history, they're saying that an old woman who was a Sibyl, she came to the last king of Rome, because before Rome was known to have the Senate and was known to be a somewhat of a democracy or a democratic power, they had kings. Rome started off with kings. They went from having kings to being a quote unquote democracy, a democratic society, and then they went into the era of the emperors with Julius Caesar, the dictator for life. And after Julius Caesar, there were further dictators for life, and they took back on the kings. But just a little history. Anyway, so when she went to the last king of Rome, she brings with her 9 books that she claims contain Sibylline prophecies. She offers to sell the books for what seems like an unreasonable amount of money. The king laughs at her ridiculous price. In response, the woman burns 3 of the books. A while later, the woman returns with the remaining 6 books, and offers to sell them at the same price as the original 9. Again, the king laughs at her, assuming she has lost her mind. Again, the woman leaves and burns 3 more books. Undeterred by the king's obstinacy, the woman returns with the remaining 3 books. She offers to sell the king the 3 books for the same price as the original 9. The king, this time, does not laugh. Tarquinius, and this is what Dionysius of Halicarnassus says in the Roman antiquities, Tarquinius, wondering at the woman's purpose, sent for the arguers, and acquainting them with the matter, asked them what he should do. These, knowing by certain signs that he had rejected a God-sent blessing, and declaring it to be a great misfortune that he had not purchased all the books, directed him to pay the woman all the money she asked, and to get the oracles that were left. So what this woman was trying to bring, now these Sibyls, they were fortune tellers. They could interpret dreams, and they could commune directly with the spirit world, and they could communicate directly with the gods. And so these Sibyls in the ancient past, now Sibyl, they are real. Okay, now you don't have to believe what they wrote, but Sibyls are real. Okay, just like the dream Sibyl, the hoodoo conjure woman, she's real. You don't have to believe her interpretation of dreams, but the status, I mean the job or the position of a Sibyl is real. So back in the ancient history of Rome, you had an old woman who was a Sibyl. Now these Sibyls had wrote out 9 books full of prophecies talking about the future, saying what was going to happen in future times, also explaining what certain signs mean and what certain dreams mean. Basically giving up the game. Okay, if you see a sign like this in the sky, this is what that means. This is how you should act. This is going to happen in the future. When this happens, this is what you should do, or this is going to happen. If you dream about this, this is what you should do. This is what's going to happen. So these Sibyls wrote out 9 books, took them to the king to try to sell it to him. The king rejected it to the point to where she ended up burning 6 of them. And so they only had 3 of these books left. And so the king, the last king of Rome, he, after consulting the quote unquote wise men, he bought the 3 books from the Sibyl. Now look, the Sibylline books, sometimes called the Cumaean books, became crucial in the ongoing decisions of Rome. The Lecti Viri, a group of 2 dumb Viri men that grew to 10 and eventually 15, guarded the books. When the Senate seers couldn't divine the meaning of extraordinary events, or when Rome needed direction in times of crisis, they would order these men to consult the Sibylline books. The books often clarified the meaning of certain divine events or ordered particular sacrifices and oblations to avoid a disaster. Livy reports that while strategizing a war, Livy is the Roman who wrote the early history of Rome. He says the state, now this is him talking about a time period in ancient Rome. He says the state was at this time suddenly occupied with a question of a religious nature, in consequence of the discovery of a prediction in the Sibylline books, which had been inspected on account of there having been so many showers of stones this year. It ran thus: whensoever a foreign enemy should bring war into the land of Italy, he may be driven out of Italy and conquered. If the Idaean mother should be brought from Pessinus to Rome, the Romans take this prophecy very seriously and immediately work to bring the Idaean mother to Rome. Now, a couple of things I want you to look at. You see how in Livy's early history of Rome, he's talking about Italy, an enemy coming into the land of Italy. Rome is in Italy. The Pope, the Vatican, is in Rome, in Italy, right? That's why they honor these that's why they honor these Sibyls. And even when we talk about the Vatican libraries, now I've never been in the Vatican libraries. I've never had a personal conversation with somebody who's been in the Vatican libraries, but we all understand that there are ancient texts in the Vatican library that have existed for thousands of years. Now, it is quite possible these Sibylline books, that they say that they were destroyed, but it is possible that these Sibylline books or copies of them still exist within the Vatican archives, the Vatican library, to this very day. But what I'm showing you is what would always happen. There was always a time period when human beings would want to seek to understand the future, there were people that they would go to who would give them the answer, who would explain the signs, or who would interpret the dreams. They would interpret the signs and omens, or they would interpret the dreams. And so these Sibyls, since it was coming to a time when they would no longer be accessible to the Roman Empire like they had been for thousands of years with the Greek Empire, they wrote all of their prophecies out, and they gave these prophecies to the Romans. And so what the Romans would do, which is one reason probably why they were so successful and their empire grew like it did, what they would do throughout the empire of Rome, when particularly trying times would come up, and the traditional Roman seers, when they couldn't answer a particular question, they would have to go and consult the books. They would have to go and consult the Sibyls. They would have to go and consult the highest ranking authority on seeing the future. Okay, that's what I want you guys to understand. So the idea of going to consult someone to get insight into the future is very ancient. And this ancestor that I'm about to read to you about in this video, the Dream Sibyl, the Hoodoo Conjurer Dream Sibyl, she held this same role. That is why in Detroit, these women went to go see her so that they could have their dreams interpreted. Now, it was not only in the Roman Empire that this happened. Remember, I told you guys already that in Egypt, they had dreams book as well, but they also had other books that would give you insight into the future, and that would also give you insight into signs and omens, and it would help you avoid a catastrophe, or it would help you avoid a particularly trying time in your life. And our ancestors were able to do this as well. Okay, we have fortune, and even today, I'm 100% sure that right now today, there's people out there that dream dreams, that can interpret dreams, and that they have been shown in their dreams visions of the future. Now, they may not even understand the spiritual power that they have. They may not understand it because nobody explained it to them, and nobody pointed it out to them, and nobody has helped to guide them and hone their abilities. But they still exist today. They're always born, and they will always be born. Now look, in ancient Egypt, to give you an example of this, what you're seeing on the right, that's what's known as the famine stele. Now what happened, there's a document, the one that you're looking at on your screen. It describes a story that took place in the third dynasty of ancient Egypt under a pharaoh named Pharaoh Joseph. Now, he is famous for having the step pyramid built, the first stone step pyramid built in the world, from what they're saying, or at least in Egypt. And he had it built by his great vizier Imhotep. Now, there was a famine in the land of Egypt for 7 years. Now, this famine was caused because the Nile River, it didn't reach its prescribed height for 7 years. And the overflowing of the Nile is what made the ground in Egypt fertile enough for them to produce all of their crops, basically in a desert environment where it didn't rain often. They would use the water from the Nile. That made their ground able to produce grain. Right now, there was a famine in Egypt for like 7 years straight, and everything was going bad. And the regular wise men, the magicians, and the seers of Egypt, they could not figure out what to do about it. So what they had to do is he got his second in command, the vizier. He got Imhotep, and he was like, hey, what I need you to do is I need you to go to the place of the gods, and I need you to figure out what's happening. I need you to consult the books which hold the records of all time. Now, these books, they held the records of the past, but they also held the records of the future. Okay. And so I need you to go consult these books, and I need you to go consult the gods in a dream, and I need you to give me an answer on what we need to do in order to save the land from this 7-year famine. And so that's exactly what Emotep did. Look, in the story, I highlighted this for you. Look, he says, I would go to the chief of Hetseket, whose beneficence strengthened all men in their works. I would enter into the house of life. I would unfold the written rolls therein, and I would lay my hand upon them. Then Metar set out on his journey, and he returned to me straightway. He gave me instruction concerning the increase of happy, and told me all things which men had written concerning it, and he revealed to me the secret doors. So there were certain places that were known as the house of life. Now, inside the house of life, or these various houses of life in ancient Egypt, they had the holy scrolls, the holy books that were written by the they weren't Sibyls in ancient Egypt, but that they were written by the priests and the seers and the individuals, the prophets, the individuals that could see the future. And so he went to the house of life. He unrolled the written rolls. He read them all, and he sought instruction. And how you know he after he did that, he had to go to sleep so the guard could speak to him directly in a dream. You see where I highlighted, he says, then I woke up at the mention of crops. My heart of or courage came back. So basically, he went, he consulted the books just like they did in ancient Rome, and then he went to sleep in the temple. And while he was asleep, the guards came to him in a dream and explained to him exactly step by step what he needed to do in order to save the land of Egypt from a famine. And then when he woke up, he had the answer, and he went back to the Pharaoh and told him what they needed to do. So this concept of going to the Sibyl, consulting the books, consulting the prophecies, this is very, very ancient science. So let's look into it. Now that we have a better understanding of what a dream symbol is, what they're talking about, and in your mind, I want you to equate, because we're trying to break the spell. I don't want you to think, oh, they're just going to some old Negro woman who says that she can interpret dreams. No, they're doing what people have done for thousands of years, and they're going to that individual who is qualified to explain the future and interpret dreams. This is what's happening. The same way the Romans went to the Sibyls and the books, the same way the Egyptians went to the seers and the books, these individuals would come to our ancestors for that same type of spiritual understanding about future events. So look, check this out. A few years ago, when talking about the dream Sibyl, a few years ago, she had a strange dream about a son who was living with her. On relating it to him, he was so impressed with its truth that he went to an undertaker on Gratoit Avenue and was measured for a coffin. This was the mother's dream. So the dream Sibyl had a dream. She told her son, and apparently she was telling her son that he was going to die. So he believed her. He went and bought a coffin because he knew, okay, what she says comes to pass. So her dream came true. She dreamed that she saw a white mouse, that it ran up to her and was very friendly, that a black cat she dreamed she possessed killed the mouse, and that while she was looking at it as it lay dead at her feet, she saw a luminous finger write the name James. She then awoke, impressed with the idea that her son, who was out of health, would die, and upon telling him the dream, conveyed the same impression to him. It is a fact that within 3 months, he occupied the coffin he had ordered. So, in order to lend some credibility to the dream Sibyl that these women have went to, they give us a story about one of the dreams that she had that came true. And this particular dream was in reference to, she dreamed that her son was going to die. But what she saw in her dream was the white mouse, the black cat. She gave the interpretation of that. And her son, knowing that her interpretations never failed, he went out and bought his own casket. And unfortunately, in 3 months, it came to pass, and he died. And so the author is including that to show us some of her prophecies that came true. Look what they say. Some Detroit ladies heard of this and thought that it would be a great lark to visit the old dreamer and have their fortunes told. Only 2 of them had remarkable dreams, but the other 2, composing the quartet, went along to see the fun. The place is a tumble-down old house that has such a low portal and long, narrow entrance that it is like an illustration of the legend Dante. So when they get to the house, they're trying to describe what the house looks like. And they make an allusion to the house has such a low portal and a long, narrow entrance that it is like an illustration of the legend Dante. Now, while they are referencing Dante, is the same reason they referenced a Sibyl, because they're trying to put a certain image in the mind of the reader. Now, Dante is a man who wrote the Divine Comedy. What is the Divine Comedy? The Divine Comedy is an Italian narrative poem by Dante Alighieri. He begun his work around 1308 and completed it around 1321. Now, this is going to make sense while I'm explaining this to you. Just give me a second. Shortly after the author's death. Now, it is widely considered the preeminent work in Italian literature and one of the greatest works of Western literature. Now, this illustration is an illustration from another famous painter and artist named Botticelli. Now, you see how he drew this image that's almost in the shape of a funnel. Now, remember, in the article, they say that the old house has such a low portal and a long, narrow entrance that it is like an illustration of the legend Dante. This is the illustration that they're referring to, a long, narrow entrance. Now, what this is the Divine Comedy is written in 3 parts. I believe it's the Inferno, Purgatory, and Paradise. And so basically, Dante, he takes a trip to hell. And in hell, there are several different layers, each one worse than the one before it. And so in each layer, he sees a certain type of sinner who is being punished for their sins in the manner in which they committed their sins. Like if they committed a particular type of sin in life, then in hell they would be punished based on the type of sin that they created. And so this funnel shaped illustration is an illustration of Dante traveling through the different levels of hell with 3 different guys, one of them being Virgil, an ancient Roman author who wrote the Aeneid. But and so and on every level he descends further and further and further into hell. So the Inferno, hell, hot, and then purgatory. That's a Catholic understanding of the realm between this realm and the next, between this and heaven and hell. And then purgatory, and then paradise. Okay, and so this is the image that they want to put in your mind when they say that it's an illustration from the legend of Dante. Now, check this out. Why? Because remember, I just told you, oh man, man, hello, hello, oh man, okay, okay, I hear myself. I'm back. I'm back, man. I don't know how long I was out. Dang, I don't know how long I was out. Give me just a second. Just I had some technical difficulties. Let me try to fix that. Okay, I was talking about Dante. It's an illustration from the Legend of Dante. Now check this out. Okay, okay, we back. We back. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Man, I hate when I be having problems like that and I don't realize it till it's too late. Let me try this again. Let me try to get my screen share back up. Just a second. Just a second. All right. Okay. All right. Here we go. Let's pick it back up. So, what's interesting about them alluding to Dante is because in Dante's Inferno, they almost he virtually, not even virtually, he just literally condemns what they're doing by going to the dream symbol. Sandra Askew says, no problem. You weren't out but a few. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for explaining that. Good, good. So, look, remember I told you guys that based on the sin you committed in life, that would determine your punishment in the afterlife, according to Dante. So, look, they say that each sin's punishment in the inferno is a contrapasso, a symbolic instance of poetic justice. For example, in Canto 20, fortune tellers and soothsayers, which is what the dream symbol is, must walk with their heads on backwards, unable to see what is ahead, because that was what they had tried to do in life. Now, in the book, he says they had their faces twisted towards their haunches and found it necessary to walk backward because they could not see ahead of them. And since he wanted so to see ahead, he looks behind and walks a backward pad. So in the image, you see Virgil and Dante, and the nude figures are the fortune tellers and soothsayers who are in hell, who have their heads twisted backwards. And their heads are twisted backwards because in life they wanted to see the future. They wanted to see far ahead. So they're punished by only being able to see behind them. So it's kind of weird to where in the article they would make an allusion to Dante and Dante's Inferno, but in Dante's Inferno, they sort of they basically call fortune telling and soothsaying a sin, right? So that is what it is. But never allow someone else's culture to demonize yours. Okay, never allow, like, who is Dante really? How can Dante never really went to hell? This is all made up out of his own mind. He never saw anybody with their heads turned backwards. So we will not allow Dante to convince us that our ancestors who are fortune tellers and soothsayers and who can interpret dreams, we are not going to let Dante make us think that these individuals are evil and that they will be punished in the afterlife. Maybe the Italians, maybe that will happen to the Italians, but even the Italians, even the Rome, his Pope, Dante's Pope, in his apostolic palace has images of a Sibyl painted right alongside the saints. So let's move forward with the article. They go on to say, the dreamers did not abandon hope, however, even though they were afraid about what the old woman, the dream Sibyl's house, looked like. They secured a small boy in a drugstore to whom they promised a quarter if he would accompany them and run for the police if there was any disturbance. Thus reinforced, they penetrated to the rear room, where among old clothes, old bottles, and dilapidated furniture by a back window covered with the dust of ages, they found the dream Sibyl. She had a number of small bottles filled with some colorless liquid before her, which she was examining through an immense pair of steel bowled glasses. As she saw the quartet, she looked at them threateningly and asked in a severe voice, "How did you hear tell of me?" They assured her that her fame was well known in Detroit and explained their errand and took out their pocketbooks. At least the spokeswoman did. "I don't want no money," said the weird woman. "I done got enough. What you dream?" So seeing the entrance to our house, they became afraid. And so then they went to a nearby drugstore. Remember, this is close to that market in Detroit, Michigan, the central market that I showed you. They went to the market. They found a boy out there and they were like, "Hey, we'll give you a quarter to watch out for us. If you hear any kind of ruckus in this back room, call for the police." So they were afraid, but they still wanted to go through with it. And so they eventually found the dream Sibyl. And we know she's a conjurer because she has these small bottles of liquid inside of her home. So she has the tools of the conjure woman. And so they tell her that her fame was well known in Detroit, meaning many people in Detroit had heard of this woman who could interpret dreams and who dreamed dreams that would come true. And so this is why they came to her. And then they tried to offer her money, but she told them that she didn't want any of their money. She had enough money. Just tell them what she dreamed. Now, this is another reason you know she's legit, because she wasn't even asking for money. Now, I wouldn't mind if she asked for money to do what she did, but the fact that she didn't ask for any money lets us know that this was not some type of a scam. It wasn't a hustle. Okay, she wasn't trying to get money. She wasn't pretending to interpret dreams to get money. She just had a gift, like the Sibyls had a gift, and like the ancient fortune tellers of ancient Egypt, they had a gift. In societies, certain individuals are born with these gifts. So what we're going to do, let's go a little further in the article. Now we're actually going to get into what these women dreamed, and I'm going to show you the interpretation of the dreams that the dream Sibyl gave. Check this out. Now this is going to get real interesting. So the first woman, she says, "I dreamed," said one of the visitors in a trembling voice, "that there was some horrid thing done up in a canvas bag. It was alive and had a snake's head. I could see the whole mass squirm as I thrust a long sharp sword or dagger through and through it." "You saw the snake's head?" the dream Sibyl asked. "Yes, and the thing itself seemed to be a great soft heap of something that squirmed like snakes, and I could not kill it. Every time I tried to, it moved again." Now you let me think. The old woman, who was very large, closed her eyes and began to sing softly to herself. It was a sort of chant, a song without words. Pretty soon, she delivered herself of this oracular speech. So in the dream, this lady, she sees a canvas bag with a snake head coming out of it. And it appeared that inside of this canvas bag was a whole mass of more snakes that was just squirming around. And she tried to stab it with a dagger that she had over and over and over and over, but she couldn't seem to kill it. It just kept squirming and moving and moving. And so the dream Sibyl, she closes her eyes. She says some type of a chant to try to ascertain what this particular dream means. So look, the interpretation. To dream about snakes, this is what the dream Sibyl is saying. To dream about snakes forebodes that some man will treat you awful bad, and there is jealousy as sure as the grave from some woman. If you had killed them snakes, the good Lord get you the victory. But if you not kill them, then it means sickness and death. Somebody been telling bad stories about you if you saw the head. That was a mean dream. So because of the snake, she told her that some man was going to treat her badly and that there was some woman who was jealous of her in her relationship, or jealous of her with her status in life, or just basically jealous of her with whatever she had. And since she seen the head of the snake, that meant that somebody was telling bad stories about her and talking bad about her. And she said that if she would have killed the snake, that meant that she would get the victory over these enemies in her life. But if she didn't kill it, then that meant sickness and death. Now, check this out. Even in today's world, we have individuals who attempt to interpret dreams. And we have various different dream books, just like we had the dream book in ancient Egypt. Now, some of these interpretations of dreams, and when you dream of certain things, and when you dream of certain animals, and when you dream of certain situations, the interpretations of these dreams have been in existence for a very long time. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to look at some of the modern interpretation of a dream about snakes, and we're going to see if it lines up with what the ancestors said is the interpretation of a dream about snakes. Look, and I got the source to these dream interpretations below the article on the right. Look, they say one interpretation of dreaming about snakes: there's someone toxic in your life. So a modern interpretation of the study of dreams says, if you dream about snakes, then there is someone toxic in your life. Remember, the dream Sibyl said that there is a man who is going to do something awful bad to you, and that there is a woman who is jealous of you. Someone toxic in your life. Look, does someone in your life act downright venomous? If so, they could take the form of a snake in your dreams, according to Laurie Lowenberg, certified dream analyst and member of the International Association for the Study of Dreams. So, a certified dream analyst and a member of the International Association for the Study of Dreams says a dream about snakes can mean that there's someone toxic in your life. Exactly what the ancestor said. Check this out. Your subconscious may be showing you this person's behavior in the form of a venomous snake so you can better understand their role in your life, Lowenberg says. So, modern dream interpretation agrees with the Hoodoo Dream Dream Sibyl. Now look what they said. The snake trapping you. If the snake squeezes or traps you, it might represent someone making you feel trapped, like a toxic partner or family member. Now she wasn't exactly squeezed or trapped per se, but she was trying to stab the snake. She couldn't. So it was like she couldn't kill it. She couldn't get away. So in some form she was trapped. And they're saying in modern times that could represent a toxic partner or family member. And this toxic partner is exactly what the ancestor dream symbol said. Now look, they say the number of snakes. According to Lowenberg, multiple snakes in your dreams could represent several toxic people in your life. So a dream about a snake can represent a toxic person in your life, and multiple snakes could represent multiple toxic people in your life. Now, the individual that came to the dream symbol, they dreamed of the snake in a canvas bag with the head sticking out. And she said that it seemed like the whole bag was full of snakes because it squirmed around and it moved, and she kept stabbing it and couldn't sit and couldn't kill it. So we have multiple snakes in the dream. And what did the ancestor say? The ancestor dream symbol said that there was some man who was going to treat her awfully bad, and there was some woman who was jealous of her. So you have the ancestor interpreted that there were multiple people who were toxic in her life. And that is the modern day explanation for dreaming of snakes. Now, that's interesting. Okay, that is very, very interesting that the dream symbol, who probably during this time, who probably couldn't read or write, and if she could read or write, probably couldn't read and write very well. Her interpretation of dreams is the same interpretation that's given from the International Association for the Study of Dreams right now today. We got another comment in the chat. Hey, I caught a live. I'm going to catch the replay for sure. Oh, Hotel, thanks for tapping in. Yeah, I already went through a lot. Yeah, whenever you get time, go back to the beginning so you can see the build up to what we're actually talking about right now. So we see that there is corroborating evidence that what the ancestors' interpretation of dreams were is what the modern interpretation of dreams are, according to the International Association for the Study of Dreams. And I'm going to show you guys moving forward that some of the ancestors' interpretations of dreams even coincide with the interpretations of dreams that the Egyptians came up with some 4,000 years ago. We're going to see a continuity with what these dreams actually mean and represent. So look, she opened her eyes when she said this and began working at the contents of the vials again. So after the dream symbol gave her the interpretation of the dream, she opened her eyes, came out of her trance, and she went back to working with her bottles of strange liquid. The unfortunate dreamer sat with a blank face and speculated on her probable ill luck. Will you tell me mine, Auntie? Asked our youngest and fairest, and the only one of the number who was not married, except our champion boy. I'm not your auntie, grunted the old woman. Don't you call me that again. I isn't one of that sort. What you dream? Now, I'm not 100% sure why she took offense with why she took offense to being called auntie, but apparently she saw that as something negative. So when this lady was asking her to tell her a dream, auntie, she checked her and said, I'm not your damn auntie, but what did you dream? So now we're going to get into the second dream. right? So the second person who dreamed the dream, she says, I dreamed of seeing a dead person. Again, the Sibyl composed herself as if to sleep. Pretty soon, her voice, rather husky and asthmatic, announced the following: that am a good dream. If you dream of seeing a corpse, you sure to live a long life and go off peaceful like at the end. That is, if you's a married woman. If you is single, then your sweetheart's love is gone cold. He have fallen in love with some other woman. I don't believe it, said the dreamer angrily. Then she blushed and looked provoked. Now that tells us that she's not married, but she does have some type of boyfriend. Or why would she get upset if she told her that that type of dream could mean that her lover's heart, his love had gone cold? But that's not what we want to look at. We want to look at the dream was she saw a dead person. And the ancestor, the dream symbol, says that that's a good dream. If you dream of seeing a corpse, you're sure to live a long life and go off peaceful like at the end. So that's something that you can take away from this. If you dream about seeing a corpse, you dream you see a dead body, that means that you're going to have a long life. But let's look and see if we can lend credibility to the dream symbols interpretations of dreams. Now check this out. Remember at the beginning, I showed you guys the 4,000-year-old ancient Egyptian dream book. Now this ancient Egyptian dream book agrees with the ancestor, just like the modern interpretation of dreams agree with the ancestor about snakes. In the Chester Beatty Papyrus 3, the Egyptian dream book, they say that if he's lucky enough to dream that he's dead, a long life awaits him. So one of the dreams that they classify is that you dream that you are dead. You dream of a corpse, dead body. That's a good dream. And not only is it a good dream, what does it mean? It means a long life awaits him. A long life awaits the individual that dreams that they are dead, or that they dream of a corpse, a dead body. This is what the ancient Egyptians said 4,000 years ago. And our ancestor, the dream symbol, when she was told that this woman dreamed of seeing a dead person, she said, that is a good dream. If you dream of seeing a corpse, you sure to live a long life and go off peaceful life at the end. That's like exactly one for one. Now, this ancestor, this dream symbol, listen, she never read this Egyptian dream book in her life. She never heard anyone talk about this Egyptian dream book in her life. For one, if we're looking at when this actual papyrus was discovered, I don't think I have that in here. If I do, I'm gonna show it to you. I might just tell you. Let's see. Let's see if I put it in here. Nah, I don't have the date. It was in the 1900s. Okay, it was in the 1900s when this Egyptian dream book was discovered, and this story is written in the 1800s, 1889. So before the Egyptian dream book was even discovered, dug up from the sand, the ancestor had made this claim that if you dream of this dead person, then that's a good dream, and that means that you are going to live a long life. So isn't that interesting? It's interesting that the ancestor's interpretation of the dream agrees with a 4,000-year-old dream book made by the ancient Egyptians, and one of the interpretations of the ancestors, her interpretation of a dream, agrees with the modern day, which for her would be the future, but agrees with the modern day International Association for the Study of Dreams, their interpretation of a dream. So we see that the ancestor is 2 for 2, right? With the modern understanding of dream interpretation and the ancient understanding of dream interpretation. That's interesting. We gotta give the ancestor her card. Now remember, the lady, when she heard the interpretation of her dream, she tried to say that, oh, she don't believe it. She tried to invoke some doubt. So the ancestor tells her about another dream that she interpreted. Now check this out. The ancestor, the dream Sibyl, says, I tell you truly, lady, there come a man here. He say to me, so another time, another man, he came to sit at the feet of the Sibyl, like in the ancient Egyptian, ancient Greek, ancient Roman, ancient Babylonian, ancient Indian times, biblical times. He says, there come a man here. He say to me, Miss Blank, they blanked out her name again. I dream white horse 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. What it mean? So he dreamed of a white horse 1 time, then he dreamed of a white horse again, then he dreamed of a white horse 3 times. And so he asked her, what does that mean? I tell that man, so this is what she told him. I tell that man, you going to a funeral and you won't come back again. Sure enough, he out riding by the river road and he fell out and break his neck. That dream tell me, but the usual interpretation of white horses is good luck and money. Sometimes it means one thing, sometimes another. So I want y'all to pay attention to what just happened here. A man comes, he tells her that he dreams of a dream. So she closes her eyes, she says her chant, she goes into her meditative state to get the answer, to get the interpretation of the dream. She tells him that unfortunately, that dream means that you're going to a funeral and you won't be coming back again. Now, unfortunately, that funeral that she was talking about is his. He's going to a funeral and he won't be back again. He's going to die, is what she's saying. And she says that sure enough, he was out riding on his horse and he fell and he broke his neck. Now, look what the ancestor says. Now, this is very important, and I'm glad she made this clarification. She says that's what the dream tell me. So his personal dream told her that was a portent or an omen that he was about to die. But she says, but the usual interpretation of white horses is good luck and money. So the ancestor, now we're finna see if she could be 3 for 3 or 4 for 4 because she dreamed of her son's death. She says that dreaming of a white horse is good luck and money. Can we lend any credibility to that? Now look, check this out. We're going to look again to modern sources of dream interpretations, right? And we're going to see that the modern sources of dream interpretations also says that white horses represent good luck, right? Look, the number one interpretation for dreaming of a white horse is you are on a path of good luck. They specifically say good luck. What did the ancestors say? The usual interpretation of white horses is good luck. Look, a white horse in your dream usually means you should stick with the path that you are on. This is a sign that you have the capabilities and endurance necessary to bring forth good luck in your life when traveling down this path. You'll be rewarded for your hard work, or we often see this as good fortune. So a white horse, according to modern interpretations of dreams, is a sign of good luck. Exactly what the ancestor said. So the ancestor dreamed about her son's death. He died. The woman told the ancestor about her dream about snakes. She gave her the interpretation of the dream about snakes, and we see that that is in fact what everyone is saying that a dream about snakes means. After they have done modern research and study into individuals' dreams and what those dreams could mean, we saw that one lady had a dream about a corpse. She told the ancestor told that woman what to dream about a corpse meant, And we see that that correlates with a 4,000-year-old Egyptian dream book. And now we see an individual that dreamed about a horse, and she told him that that particular dream meant that he was going to die, but that usually it means good luck. And we see that modern sources of dream interpretations are saying that to dream of a white horse means that you're on a path of good luck. They use the exact phraseology, good luck. Okay. Now, it is hard to prove emphatically that someone is accurately interpreting dreams. Okay, it's hard to prove emphatically, but when you have so many things building up, like what I'm showing you right now, it's easy for me to conclude that the ancestors they're calling the dream Sibyl actually had a gift, and she actually had the gift to see the future. She was a real fortune teller, and she could actually interpret dreams. And again, if some of you out there, you dream dreams just like her, and you can interpret dreams just like her, but you just don't believe that you can. And you've never tried to hone your gift, and you never put your gift to the test. But if you put it to the test, you would see that you are a dream Sibyl as well. This is real. And this is why it has been talked about for thousands of years. So in Hoodoo, we understood that. We understood that dreams could give us insight into the future. Now look, let's go a little further. What they say after that. They asked her, they're asking the dream Sibyl, how do you know these things? One of the party ventured to ask, asking her, how does she know the things that she knows? How can she interpret the dreams? How can she see the future? How does she know the things that has made her famous all around Detroit? Look what she says. Hotel, Brooklyn, good to see you, Brooklyn Zoo, good to see you, fam. Hotel King. Look, she says, the good Lord tell me, child, why I've been up to heaven in the chariot of Israel times and times, and see what the Lord got all the post sinners, and see where the Lord got all the post sinners who repent. It am a gift, a great gift, and I don't take no money for that. But if you liver, but if your liver don't work right, or you have the heart disease, I give you what make you well right away, and I takes the money for that. I has a universal remedy for all the miseries in the human body. And this was documented in the Detroit paper in 1889. So she says that her gift to interpret dreams and see the future, that is a gift that came directly from God, and she can't charge for that. She's just one of the people that's placed on earth to do that for humanity. But since she's a conjure woman, she practices hoodoo. She also have potions that will heal ailments. So she says she has healing potions that will heal the liver, or that will heal the individual of heart disease. And if you need medicine, she'll charge you for the medicine, but she can't charge you for the gift. That's another reason how you know the gift is real. And so look, so she blatantly tells you that how she got this gift and how she knows what she knows is because God tells her. She says she's been up to heaven in the chariot of Israel time, and she sees where the Lord got all the post sinners who repent. So she's been carried up to heaven, and this is where she's gotten this gift. This is how she's able to do that. Now look, that what she's saying coincides with what's in the Bible. She's hitting all of these ancient cultures right, hitting the nail on the head. Look, in Genesis, they tell a story about a man who could interpret dreams named Joseph. And Joseph was sold into slavery by his brothers. And while he was enslaved and while he was in prison, he interpreted the dreams of two people that were in there with him. Now, one of these individuals was killed, and one of these individuals was reinstated to work at the right hand of Pharaoh. And so what ended up happening is Pharaoh had a dream, right? And nobody in Egypt could interpret the dream. And so the individual that Joseph interpreted his dream for him said, hey, you know what? I know someone who can interpret the dream for you. There was a man in jail with me. He interprets dreams. If you get him, he can tell Pharaoh what his dream means. So the man brings Pharaoh brings Joseph to him. He tells Joseph his dream, just like these individuals are telling the dream Sibyl their dream. And then Joseph gives Pharaoh the interpretation of the dream. But look at what Joseph says in Genesis chapter 41, verse 15 and 16. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I have dreamed a dream, and there is none that can interpret it. And I have heard say of thee that thou canst understand a dream to interpret it. Look what Joseph tells him in verse 16. And Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, it is not in me. God shall give Pharaoh an answer of peace. So Joseph is saying that really, yes, I'm interpreting dreams, but it is not in me to interpret the dreams. It is God that's giving the interpretation of the dreams. The exact same thing that the ancestor says. The ancestor says that how does she know the things that she knows? He said, well, the good Lord tells me. It's not really just me, it's a gift. I have been given this from God. And when she refers to the chariots of Israel time taking her up into heaven, we see an example of this in 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 11 and 12, where it talks about these chariots that can carry one up into heaven. This happened with a prophet named Elijah. Verse 11 says, 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 11 and 12, and it came to pass as they still went on and talked, that behold, there appeared a chariot of fire and horses of fire, and parted them both asunder. And Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. And Elisha saw it, and he cried, my father, the chariot of Israel and the horsemen thereof. And he saw him no more, and he took hold of his own clothes and rent them into pieces. Now Elijah was a prophet. He was a holy man of God. He was also one who could see the future. He could prophesy. He could tell you what was going to happen. And so Elijah was taken up into heaven by these chariots. And they talk about another man in the Bible, a man by the name of Enoch, who walked with God and he was not. And they talk about how he was taken up into heaven as well. And it's highly likely that he was taken up by one of these chariots as well. Now, whether it's an actual chariot or not, whether that's an analogy for something else, we see that individuals can be the idea of an individual being taken up into heaven and shown things, right? And so the ancestor is saying, for what it's worth, that she had been up to heaven in the chariot of Israel times, meaning more than once. She has been up to heaven more than once, because she says she sees where the Lord got all the post sinners who repent. Where do the post sinners who repent go? They go to heaven. So she's saying she's been up to heaven and she received this gift from God. And this gift of prophecy, this gift of dream interpretation, this gift to dream dreams, this gift to see the future, it all came from God. And her dream, her abilities coincide with these abilities as explained thousands and thousands of years ago, and as explained in modern times. And so even with us knowing that her fame spread far and wide throughout all of Detroit, we can reasonably deduce that she was actually telling the truth. Her interpretations of these dreams were real. She really had this ability. And individuals, and now in modern times, you guys have this ability as well. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. I just wanted to tell you guys that story about that particular ancestor. Now, we don't know her name, but may her name live on forever. May her story live on forever, and may her name and story never die. Now, what I want you guys to remember and recall is that there are certain people who are born into this world who have certain gifts. My particular how I teach hoodoo, everybody that teaches hoodoo or believes in hoodoo doesn't teach it the same way. So I like to call mine the hoodoo per Ankh, or the house of life, referring back to ancient Egypt, obviously. But what I like to tell people is that everyone who came to earth, you came to earth for a reason. You're going to go somewhere after you die, and you are somewhere before you are born. Now, everyone who comes to planet Earth, you come to planet Earth for a purpose, for a reason. You have a specific job to do, something that you are here to accomplish, that when done and if done will help move humanity forward in the direction that humanity needs to go in. Congo says, great day, clean family. Hey, great day to you too, family. Thanks for tapping in. Thanks for tapping in, for real. Now, some of us have the ability, whether you know it or not, you have the ability to interpret dreams and to see glimpses of the future. Now, since it doesn't always happen like it happens in the movies, you may not be looking in the right place. Because hypothetically, let's say if in the future there's going to be a car crash, in the dream you almost never see a car crash, right? You see something that means there is going to be a car crash. It's an allusion to a car crash. And so you would either have to understand the signs that you see in the dream, or you would have to be able to go to someone who understands the signs inside of those dreams. And there are also some dreams, some animals and situations that you can dream about. They damn near always have the same meaning, right? That's why, like I told you guys in the beginning, I've always heard that when a woman or something like that dreams of fish, that somebody is pregnant, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you, if you think about it, there's something about a dream that you have heard growing up, that, oh, when somebody dreams about this, that means something like this is going to happen. And almost every time that type of dream comes up, that type of thing happens. But in this modern world, we're hardwired to shun what they call superstition and be like, that just can't be real. If I can't put it into a vial and take it to the lab, and I can't measure it and test it, it isn't real. We're hardwired to think that way. We're hardwired to disregard what they call superstitious. We're taught to disregard what they call spiritual, and we're taught to disregard what they call these gifts. And so we never hone these gifts. But it's some of you, I'm telling you, it's some of you out there, you dream vivid dreams. You remember those dreams. Everybody doesn't dream like you. Everybody doesn't have the vivid dream that you have. And everybody can't remember those dreams like you do. And some people, they have reoccurring dreams, where how that individual in the story told the dream Sibyl, they dreamed of a white horse 3 times. I remember growing up, I had a reoccurring dream that would come back to me over several years. Like I could have it when I'm 10, and then it come back when I'm 12, and it come back when I'm 13, not even back to back. These dreams could be separated by years, but it would be like a reoccurring dream. And I remember one of the first times I had the dream, I was just in an open area. It was roads, it was streets, and I was running, and I would jump. But I wouldn't jump high, I wouldn't jump far, and I would run and I would jump. I would run and I would jump. And that's the whole dream. I was running and jumping. But I knew in my mind in the dream, I was trying to fly. Okay. And so the first time I had the dream, I was just running and jumping, running and jumping, running and jumping. And then I didn't track it, but months later or a year later, when I had the dream again, same area, I remembered, I knew that I was in a dream, And I knew in the dream that I was having a reoccurring dream. Sometimes when you in a dream, you know you're dreaming, right? And so I'm in the dream again. I know it's a reoccurring dream, and I'm running down the street, and I'm running and I'm jumping and I'm trying to fly. But this time when I jump higher and further than I did the first time I had the dream. And so I run and jump, run and jump, run and jump, run and jump. And every time in my life, when I had this reoccurring dream, I would always jump higher and further, to the point when in one of the dreams I would run, I would jump, and I would, I would be up over the trees, almost to the cloud, and I would be up for a long time, and I would cross a massive amount of distance, and I'd be like, man, I almost got it, but then I'll start falling back to the ground, and I would land, and I'm like, man, I almost got it, and I run and I jump, and I'd be soaring over the trees, almost to the clouds, but I'm not flying yet. I'm just jumping, until one time I dreamed the dream. I was running, I jumped, and I actually could fly. I could fly in a dream, and I was flying around like Superman. And you want to know something? When I learned how to fly, I never had that reoccurring dream again. And so I never actually, because I was raised a Christian, right? I was raised a Christian. So I never took that dream to somebody to ask them to interpret that reoccurring dream for me. But I know in the pit of my soul that it meant something. I don't 100% know what it means, right? So yes, dream interpretation is real. Dream interpretation is going on for thousands of years. Congo 9 says, facts, family. Yeah, facts. Hotel. I'm glad you feeling me. And Congo 9 says, fearlessly fighting an evil entity. Are you saying that you've had a dream like that where you were fearlessly fighting an evil entity? Is that a dream that you've had? But yeah. So anybody, like I say, anybody that's interested in hoodoo, I want you to add into your repertoire that a part of hoodoo and hoodoo belief is the interpretations of dreams. And some of our ancestors, they aren't known because they were underground. But people came from miles around to come sit at the feet of our ancestors and have them tell them things about the future and interpret their dreams for them, just like they did in all of the major civilizations of the past. Okay, all of the ancient civilizations of the past, from the Israelite civilization, they were always talking to God in dreams. They were always getting prophecies in dreams. Almost every single time, one of those prophets, when God gave him a vision, that vision was in a dream. Just go back and read it. In ancient Egypt, it was the same thing. Rome, Greece, India, Babylon, and even the societies that don't have written records, if you ask them their oral history, they're going to tell you about dream interpretation. Congo 9 says, yes, more than 4 or 5 times. See that's exactly what I mean. Those reoccurring dreams. We have reoccurring dreams. Though that means something. Now, I'm not saying I can interpret dreams for you. I'm not saying that that's my gift. I'm saying that I know that it's real, and there's attestations to it that go back literally thousands of years. Literally thousands of years. And you can do what's called lucid dreaming. You can dream and know you're dreaming. I've dreamed and I knew that I was dreaming, and I was able to manipulate inside of that dream world. And you, like I said, you got to ask yourself, when you're dreaming, where do you go? Right? Where do you go? Does your own consciousness create this dream world? Or is there a created dream world that you enter when you go to sleep? And how is it that there are somewhat similar, quote unquote, laws of physics in those dreams? Have you ever dreamed that you were like drowning? Right? Have you ever dreamed that you were drowning? Think about that. Or heard of someone who dreamed that they were drowning. How can you drown in a dream? Your lungs aren't real. The water isn't real. Oxygen isn't real. So how can you dream that you're drowning? You get what I'm saying? Or if you're walking in a dream, Why is there gravity in your dream? And why can, and like in my instance, when I had the reoccurring dream where I eventually was able to fly, why did I have to struggle to break the laws of gravity if gravity is a result of this physical reality that we are in? How can you be hurt in a dream? Or what's causing your emotions in a dream? You can be afraid in a dream. You can be excited in a dream. You can be in love in a dream. You can experience physical touch in a dream. Where is this coming from? You understand what I'm saying? Why isn't, like, when you're in a dream and you're walking down the street, why don't you just fall through the ground? How is the ground a simulated physical construct that you can walk on, drive on, right? You can get on the back of a horse and ride a horse in a dream. You can hear the horse hooves clunking on the ground, but that ground isn't physical ground because it's in the dream. You see what I'm saying? When you really get to thinking about what a dream is, what a dream consists of, you're going to realize that there's a lot going on with this so-called dream that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Exactly. Other planes of existence. I read somewhere that they say when the quote unquote universe began to exist, or at an early stage in the existence of our universe, there were multiple dimensions of existence as opposed to the three that we live in. They say that we are 3D, we are three-dimensional beings. They say, you have height, depth, and width. That's why you can look up, down, and you can look into, like you can look straight ahead. You can look up, down, and you can look side to side. There is depth to the world that we live in. And right now they theorize a fourth dimension that they call space-time, saying that in essence, the way that I can walk from left to right and I can walk from my house to the store, technically an individual can travel through space and time like an individual can just simply travel through space. I can walk from here to there, but I should also be able to walk from then to now, or from the past to the future. You can walk through time like you walk through space. But there can be other dimensions of reality that just we're not able to perceive because we're three-dimensional beings. Levels and dimensions where I don't know, maybe you could see sounds, or you could smell emotion. Maybe your vision, maybe you can visually perceive emotions, or maybe you can visually perceive the smell of a thing, right? Different dimensions. Your ability to perceive is widened. You can see up, you can see down, you can see left, you can see right, you can see into. Maybe I can look and see what happened yesterday. I can look and see what happened tomorrow, right? And this is sort of the understanding of the dream. In the dream world, we could in essence be entering into these other dimensions, which is how an individual can get insight into the future, because space-time, moving through time like an individual move through space. You can move through time in the dream and see what has not yet occurred. Okay. Yeah, astral travel. Yeah, the astral projection. They even have government funded projects where they actually did legit studies on that. And you can talk to people who've done it. Maybe I'll do a story on that. I've legit did it once. Right? Been in one place, meditated, or whatever you want to call it. Spirit body left my regular body, went somewhere else and saw things that was taking place in a whole nother city, and had it verified that at that particular time what I saw going on in another city was actually going on in that city. So yeah, astral travel or astral projection, I believe in that too. Study the creation of the quasar. Definitely going to look that up. And yes, gifts of the spirit. You are 100% correct. That's exactly what the ancestor, the dream Sibyl, called it. She said that it was a gift. You don't charge for these gifts. These are given to you. These are given to you. These are given to different members of the human society. So I thank all you guys for tapping in. We're talking about the hoodoo belief in dream, the hoodoo belief in the interpretation of dreams. We've been talking about the interpretations of dreams, fortune telling, and prophecy, and the hoodoo symbol that could tell the future. So when individuals talk about the fortune tellers in ancient Egypt, when they talk about the symbols in ancient Greece, and when they talk about the symbols in ancient Rome, and they talk about the prophets of the Bible, just know that within the religion and the spiritual system that our ancestors created on the slave plantation, they also had individuals who were divinely gifted to be able to interpret dreams and understand dreams as well. Given to you by your ancestors, definitely, 100%. And that's why I always tell people, you see, I'm not about converting nobody to nothing. Believe what you want to believe, but at least get an understanding and a knowledge of your ancestors' history. It's a beautiful thing when an individual in such a state that our ancestors were in, to be able to create a system to where they could still commune with their ancestors and with the spirit realm and with God when their very humanity was trying to be taken from them. I think we need to analyze that, look into that, and we need to respect them. Respect them for it, because it's real. It's more real than you think, and you won't know how real it is until you actually look into it. So thank everybody for watching. Once again, this your humble brother Matthew Daniels, aka Pooh, aka the Chosen Few, aka the Real Bookworm. Remember, I'm not just a bookworm, world. I am the real bookworm. I got 16 published works out, and I read everything that I can get my hands on. I'm doing the book game like it ain't never been done before, and I'm doing the book game like it'll never be done again. The Chief Scribe Matthew Daniels out. May your name live on forever, and may your memory, family, your memory never die. Hotel, Shalom, Ashe, peace.